이 학교 대상으로 좀 특화된 DMZ 특화 학교 이런 식의 어떤 프로그램을 교육을 만드는 것이 중요할 것 같다라고 생각이 되고요. 그다음에 여기에 DMZ와 인근한 마을들이 있습니다. 그래서 이 마을들 중심으로 해서 어떤 네트워크를 갖고 특화되도록 해서 보존 사업과 이 마을의 발전이 같이 갈 수 있도록 하는 것도 중요할 것이라고 봅니다. 마지막에는 또 제안을 지금 하고 할 수 있는 일로 제안을 드리는 것은 내셔널 트러스트를 좀 더 현장 밀착형의 그런 내셔널 트러스트 운동들을 할 필요가 있다라는 얘기를 드리고 싶은데요. 이것은 저희가 연구해 보니까 사람들한테 이 DMZ의 어떤 전체를 보존하거나 아니면 생물 다양성 보존, 그 다음에 이 DMZ의 역사 문화 자원, 판문점, 민통선 마을 이렇게 사례들을 두고서 이것을 초이스 모델링으로 얼마만큼 돈을 보존하는데 지불할 수 있느냐 이런 의사를 물어본 연구가 있습니다. 그래서 해보니까 종합적으로 1인당 약 55,000원 정도는 내가 기꺼이 내서 이걸 보존하겠다 이런 결과가 나왔었거든요. 이것을 보면 저는 이거는 이제 독일에 지금 이게 초록 주식이라고 이제 있는데요. 이것도 이제 독일의 지금 그린벨트, 그린에스반트죠. 동서독의 그 옛날에 그 경계를 갈랐던 지금 우리나라의 DMZ와 비슷한 그런 모습을 갖고 있는 그 그린벨트를 보존하기 위한데 65유로 맞나요? 65유로를 지금 내는 그런 운동을 하고 있는 것과 유사합니다. 그러한 식의 운동을 하는 것이 지금 필요한 사업일 거라고 이제 제안을 하고 싶습니다. 이상 아마 끝난 것 같습니다.
네, 감사합니다. 아주 정확하게 1분도 안 틀리게 정확하게 마치셨습니다. 감사드리고요. 다음 두 분은 이제 외국에서 오셔서 저에게 좋은 강의를 들려주실 분인데 지금 국내에서 발표됐던 내용과는 좀 다른 내용이어서 보다 흥미 있을 것으로 짐작됩니다. 두 번째는 한춘리 선생님이신데요. 유네스코 과학행정국장님으로 지금 재직하고 계십니다. Dr. Please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very happy to be here to speak about this workshop. I would like to thank for the organizers, and in particular the Ministry of the Environment and Dr. Park for the invitation. The subject is talking about the local participation in the DMZ region from perspective of UNESCO's worldwide experience. In this presentation, I mentioned 3-4 cases that from UNESCO biodiversity practice to show how local people participate in conservation. To start with, I want to just say a few words about transboundary cooperation and the discussion regarding the conservation in the DMZ era. Dr. Park just made a very good presentation on the values of biodiversity in the era, and also the interests and challenges in this era. Indeed, the DMZ, after over 6 years of this situation, that has created a very special ecological zone that has attracted tremendous interest from many scientists, from the researchers, but also from the conservation organizations. This is the 3 photos I took 2 years ago during the trip near the DMZ area, in fact close in the Changwon province. It's extraordinary the places to see the mountain ecosystem, to see the coastal zones, and to see the habitat for the bird, the different bird species. The discussion in the UNESCO network related with DMZ actually started quite early That is, I can recall that in 1994, there was already, at the very beginning of the East Asian Biosphere Reserve Cooperation, there already discussion about the possibility of cooperating in the special zones like this. And in the East Asian Biosphere Reserve Network, which was established in 1994, Professor Choi, you remember, and we have each workshop have sessions to identify potential areas for transboundary cooperation in Asia region, especially in the East Asia. This is the Altai Mountain Range in the Wolfsmoor Lake region. Now it has become a transboundary World Heritage. The Dawu International Protected Areas connected at the border of China, Russia, and Mongolia. Mount Changbai and Mount Baekdu, the DPR Korea and China, that among the very important ecosystem for the possibility of World Heritage, but it already have a biosphere status. And the Tumen River project, Tumen area, the estuary, and the connected mountains and the wetlands. This slide shows some of the sites we have been discussing for the possible biosphere reserve cooperation or a potential World Heritage. The Wolfsmoor is up there, and this is Dawu, the areas of the three countries, and this Altai Mountain Range. In fact, the countries concerned in these areas had been engaged in a very active discussion for cooperation. All these discussions related with the transboundary cooperation actually come to the basic concern. That is, ecosystems are fragmented, and many biodiversity-rich areas are at the national borders, and then increasingly, that we also see that the environment system, the biodiversity, are being further fragmented by the new lines of the borders due to economic development. This make huge problems, like in between the border of China and Mongolia, that the migrating species, the gazelles, are stopped artificially. Of course, such fragmentation we can see in many other regions, including in Africa, in Europe. The European bison has been separated in the two World Heritage sites in Poland and the Belarus. The UNESCO East Asian Biosphere Reserve initiated by the Korea. I remember Dr. Shim was working on that. Dr. Choi was leading a team with the Russians and the Chinese to study the Tumen River, the project for cooperation. It is a very difficult project, but nevertheless, I think 3 years of work has produced a very interesting report, which will serve for the long-term cooperation. Now, this connectivity and the integrity of the ecosystem is reflected in national, the Biosphere Reserve and the World Heritage regimes. The Giant Panda, the World Heritage Site nomination was started in the late 1980s, then early 1990s, and have always been pushed back by IUCN, saying no, do it better, make it better, because it's fragmented and there are many ecosystems are connected, are important giant panda habitat, but they are not well reflected in the system. It took almost 20 years to have a contiguous, more or less contiguous, this pocket of these systems from the very initial nomination into a much larger the ecological zones for the giant panda habitat conservation. So this integrity for the World Heritage and for Biosphere Reserve, giant panda cluster has become much better improved. The transboundary cooperation in European countries moved much faster. This is the early cases between Poland, Slovakia, between Poland, Slovakia, Ukraine, etc. I was involved in some of these early nominations. Of course, in Europe, due to the European integration and this process of reconsolidation, and also the advance of the science, the conservation science, I think it's much easier, relatively easier than in Asian region to develop a cross-border cooperation. In Asia, we have identified many sites and pushed a lot. There's a very interesting the demand from the desire from the countries, but to formulate real cases, transboundary cases, that will still take time. The World Heritage Biosphere Reserves are both based on some basic reference systems like the Biodiversity, the Biogeographic Provinces of 1975, which talking about the representative ecosystems, and the CI, Conservation International Hotspot. But all this, as you can see it, is not talking about the man-made borders, nation border. They're talking about the connectivity and the integrity of the conservation. And this is very relevant to the topic we are talking about the DMZ. A lot of ecosystems also at the area with a shared community cultural values. And this has not been very well articulated. Even in both the Biosphere Reserve discussion and the World Heritage Convention, how you describe the cultural values for the natural side remain a challenge. But biosphere reserves are identified in UNESCO for its scientific values, conservation values, and it has to work with a management system, national authorities, local authorities, and it has to base on the national laws. But it also has to work with local communities and NGOs. Since after the Rio conference in 1992, UNESCO has developed the civil strategy, which has changed the basic notion about the conservation, that the conservation must be people-centered, community-based. So from 1995, no biosphere reserve nomination can be accepted if it is not confirmed and supported by the communities, because we believe the conservation can only be successful if you are supported fully by the communities. Okay, this says. Now, I just want to mention a few cases, like the one in the southern, central south of France, this mountain called Mont Ventoux Biosphere Reserve is quite an interesting case. The area is a very spectacle landscape and mountains. From the 18th century, the scientists has found this area very interesting, scientific for research purpose, for research interest, and also the views has attracted many people coming here to visit, including the people come for the races of the bicycles and the mountain climbers. The lot of tourists come in and start pressuring the traditional villages. The local farmers then decided to organize, to establish a kind of organization in order to manage this kind of tourism pressure. The management board was established consisting of 31 villages with the researchers, with government administration, with the French forests, and the local and private associations. The zonation of a core buffer zone was established and the action plan was adapted. The syndicat, what is French is called a syndicat mixed, consists of a group of villages that has been established. In 1990, the concept of biodiversity reserve was considered as a useful concept for as a framework of action. This is a zonation map of these 112 biodiversity reserves, and through this system, they are organizing all the conservation and the development tourism activities in this community-based system. And it is noted that this system, taking the form of the French, the regional park, which is very different from the traditional protected areas. The Kanso Biodiversity Reserve in Vietnam is another interesting case. The area is a large mangrove outside the Ho Chi Minh City, which was completely destroyed during the war. It was since 1975, after almost 30 years of replanting and rehabilitation, it became back of a very important conservation area. Now this site has been nominated as a UNESCO Biodiversity Reserve. Perhaps it's the only case from a completely destroyed ecosystem into the world recognition. The Utaway Biodiversity Reserve in Micronesia is another case. The whole nomination process was based on the community consultation. It took more than 2 years to get this the community fully engaged, working together to assess the biodiversity value, to address issues of the shared interest and address the issue of conservation cooperation. So they have established the management plan with the help of the NGOs, and they have started establishing the monitoring stations for the fish, production. I think I will skip this Malaysian lower river, Kinabatangan river case, which again is a very fragmented cases. As you can see, there's many of the small sanctuaries of wildlife and the forest protected areas, and in order to get a coherent conservation in this very important ecosystem, which have the elephant, the orangutans, and many plant and animal species, idea of grouping all this into a larger biodiversity reserve was accepted. But all this cannot be achieved if the people is not on your side, because they are fully in between these small conservation areas are all local communities. So the DMZ, as a biodiversity reserve, we have to think about who are the stakeholders and what are the shared and the common values for conservation, for protection, and for promotion. And we have to see what are the interests and the benefit for our communities. For this, the IUCN guidebook on the values assessment of the conservation is very important. And we have to see how the biodiversity can serve better in the scientific research and education purposes. As it has been, most importantly, that understand the value, and especially the shared values, that is most important. But in DMZ area, if we look into the North and the South in particular, how we can get a shared value, a shared identity, that is a challenge. And we have to have a vision of conservation and development, a shared vision, which is by the local community and the national and international communities, and the short term and the long term. We have to see what are the mechanisms that can be used for collective actions, and what are institutional policy and legal agreement. For that, I think UNESCO World Heritage Biodiversity Reserve, but there are also other peace park mechanisms could be used. The objective of management of land, water, and the living resources, as has been put in the ecosystem approach that advocated by the IUCN, is a matter of societal choice, to which I think the community participation is truly essential. And we have to work in this way for the future of the BMZ conservation. Thank you very much.
한 박사님께 너무 감사드리고 또 한편으로 죄송하다는 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 이렇게 좋은 강의를 15분 내에 하라고 톡촉을 하게 돼서 너무나 죄송하고 또 그럼에도 불구하고 시간에 맞춰서 발표해 주셔서 진심으로 감사드립니다. 이제 발표는 마지막이 되겠는데요. 미국 코넬 대학 건축학과 스튜디오 디렉터로 일하고 계시는 서엘의 선생님으로부터 교수님으로부터 DMZ의 평화와 보존을 위한 평화공원 설계 굉장히 궁금하실 겁니다. 저도 궁금합니다. 서 박사님 부탁드립니다. 감사합니다.
So I'll be presenting in English because I feel more comfortable talking architectural things in English. So my name is Yere Seo. Thank you for having me here today. I'm very happy to be able to present these projects to you. I'm going to try to stay on script so I don't go over time. In the fall of 2011, an architecture design studio was progressed at Cornell University Department of Architecture.